Welcome back again, my peoples, my awkward beginnings people. Before you come in, wipe off your feet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Uh, I come to show y'all a video. Uh, in the last couple of days, they've been talking about this Hoover. I'm gonna call it a Figueroa indictment that's been going on. It's been all over the news, all over social media, and 11 people was arrested, one female, um, for sex trafficking, sex trafficking minors. And some of you youngsters out there, you may not understand how serious that charge is. So I want to show y'all a video that gives y'all an idea of what kind of numbers the judge gonna throw at you for human trafficking, or no, that's what they call it now, human sex trafficking. You know what I mean? So I want to show y'all how serious this stuff is. So yeah, give me a second so I can find the video. Y'all get y'all popcorn, get comfortable, and let's check this out, man. All right, here it go, y'all.
So you want to be a pimp, huh? Well, the days of making felony money off of misdemeanor crime is long over with. Nowadays, pimping is considered human trafficking. What is human trafficking, you may ask? Human trafficking, plain and simple, is modern-day slavery by force, fraud, coercion, or manipulation for the purpose of exploiting the vulnerable to gain freedom. And the war on human trafficking is fought by Homeland Security, along with local, state, and federal authorities, including the FBI. Currently, the American mainstream media has made the black man the face of modern-day human trafficking, making him public enemy number one. Therefore, the current punishments for human trafficking has been far.
That's the part. That's the part that's important. That they're fighting this stuff with Homeland Security now. So that's what I feel like is important for y'all to hear. You know what I mean? How serious this stuff is, and they're going hard on this stuff too, man. So y'all need to be watching this stuff. This is for y'all.
More severe than any other crime to date. In 2017, you can literally get less time for murder than you can for human trafficking. Let that digest for a minute.
More time for murder. You know what I mean? They're not playing with this stuff. You know what I mean? More time for murder, like I said.
Now, do you still want to be a pimp? If so, I've compiled a list of outcomes for some guys who chose the same career path. These are just 10 examples of 10 pimps convicted on pimping and human trafficking over the past 10 years. This list is too.
A Too Real for TV exclusive.
When police searched the Chula Vista home of Darren Hilton in February 2006, they found training books and videotapes on how to become a. His desire to be a pimp, snatching young girls and forcing them into prostitution, landed this Chula Vista man a prison sentence that will likely keep him behind bars for the rest of his life. In February 2008, 28-year-old Darren Hilton was sentenced to 77 years and 4 months in life to prison for sexually assaulting 4 teenagers he had targeted to work for him on the streets. 2 girls, ages 14 and 16, acted like they were going to work.
14 and 16. This dude was on one of, I believe, the cross country pimping or pimps up and hoes. Yeah, you ain't been seeing him on social media or no more pimp documentaries because he's busy doing this time in prison.
And escaped when he took them to work in National City and contacted the police. In 2008, a 34-year-old Arizona man named Mark Anthony Howard, aka Lalo, was sentenced to 139 years in prison for pimping young girls. According to court records, Howard kept at least 5 girls, 2 of them younger than 15, whom he tattooed with his street name Laylo. Not a good idea. He made so much money from the girls, he bought a $500,000 home in Laveen and several motor vehicles. He was found guilty of 30 counts of various felonies.
$500,000 home, y'all. Yeah, they wasn't having a shortage on money. You know what I'm saying? He was getting paid good money, but look what the outcome is. Look what ended up happening toward the end.
In April 2020, to testify against a man who forced her to become a prostitute at the age of 12. She explained to the judge how it felt to have Daquan Sawyer, aka P-Child, take brutal and complete control over her, brand her with a tattoo, and force her to walk the track as a child prostitute. After her testimony, the dramatic 3-hour sentencing culminated with a punishment: 50 years in federal prison, believed to be the toughest ever handed down to a convicted sex trafficker in Chicago's federal court history. No culture worth emulation would tolerate this, U.S. District Judge Charles Kokakris said. We don't let you do this to our children.
See how these white people feel about these punishments, about these kids. It's war. They're serving war on pimping. And this video came out in 2017 or 18, before Maroy died. So yeah, they've been serious about this stuff. You know what I mean? If anybody around, if you got youngsters in your family that think this pimping stuff is cool, y'all need to let them see this.
In April 2012, a 45-year-old man named Derek Avery, who gained fame in movies and television as Pimp Snooki.
That's Pimp Snooki right there, y'all. He did a lot of interviews, and he was known for pimping. You know what I'm saying? All over social media. You know, he got around. You know what I'm saying? And this is how his story ended.
Was sentenced to 20 years in prison in federal court in Milwaukee. Snooki prostituted scores of women and girls in city.
He could be out by now, or at least close to getting out. This is before they started giving the heavy time, 175 years. So he lucked up. You know, he caught like the beginning of the sex trafficking phase. You know what I mean? So he caught a 20-year prison sentence.
He's from Milwaukee to Los Angeles for at least 16 years, according to federal prosecutors. He pled guilty in November to 2 felonies, including sex trafficking of a child by use of force, fraud, and coercion. The prosecutor stated Snooki's case was by far the most horrific, the most brutal of the 7 prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office in recent years. In one case, Avery beat the girl when she told him she did not want to move to Las Vegas. He made a phone call and offered someone $2,800 to kill her father. He beat her with several items, including a wooden broomstick, which broke. Girls that worked for Snooki were as young as 14 years old. In November 2012, in the Sin City of Las Vegas, Judge Michael Villian sentenced Ocean Fleming, aka O, to life in prison for first-degree kidnapping, one of 23 counts.
Life in prison, 33. He was 33 years old. He was 35 years old, and he is now serving life in prison.
Jury convicted him on. The life sentence will begin after Fleming serves at least 10 years behind bars for other counts, such as pandering, coercion with force, and assault with a deadly weapon. You need to blame yourself, Judge Villian told Fleming. Your arrogance got you in this mess. You preyed upon women with low self-esteem. Part of Fleming's convictions was contributed to online messages retrieved off Facebook between Ocean and the victims. And a phone call made by a victim to the police was recorded during a violent confrontation between Fleming and the screaming victim. None of the victims in Fleming's case were underage, and he still received a life sentence.
See, the victims in his case were all adults, you know what I mean? And he still received a life sentence. Man, this video should scare some of you dudes out there on Figueroa or University or Long Beach Boulevard or whatever street y'all brothers be pimping on. You know what I'm saying? This should scare y'all to death.
In 2011, a 48-year-old Raymond Sharp, aka RC, was arrested after an incident which a partially nude woman was seen.
This ain't the Sharp that's on No Jumper, but they know each other though.
Looking for help fleeing from Sharp's home. After contacting Sharp, police found the woman was one of a number of prostitutes being pandered by Sharp. Police arrested Sharp on charges including living with a prostitute, first-degree kidnapping, and domestic battery, amongst other charges. None of the women were underage. Sharp was ultimately convicted of 19 counts and sentenced to 3 life sentences in prison without the possibility of parole. That's right, 3 life sentences.
3 life sentences. Yikes. Not playing. They wasn't playing with this dude, man. 48 years old, and he got to spend 3 life sentences in jail. He may got 30 years to live in prison before he kicks over.
Police said the convictions and sentences should send a clear message to pimps in Southern Nevada. Whoa. Now, if that was not enough, later on, Raymond Sharp was entered into the history books for being the first pimp in Nevada history to be sued by a former prostitute, and she won a $4.1 million judgment. In July of 2013, law enforcement arrested a 26-year-old Dallas man, Torian Jackson, aka Marvelous Rich, in Louisiana for human trafficking a 16-year-old girl. Marvelous Rich was arrested in Louisiana hotel by undercover officers with the Jefferson Parish Sheriff Department after they responded to an online ad. Records show Jackson beat the victim with an extension cord and threatened her if she tried to leave him. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 22 years in federal prison. In May of 2015, 34-year-old Las Vegas man Lenny Paul Haskins, aka Too Much, pled guilty to prostituting teenage girls in Reston, Herndon, and other parts of Northern Virginia, and was sentenced to 40 years in federal prison. Authorities said in June 2014, Haskins encountered 2 teens at a hotel near Sacramento, California.
This dude was a rapper too, as y'all can see. This is album cover. Lenny Too Much was his name, I believe. But yeah, bro, they wasn't playing with these dudes at all. Let's see how much time they gave him.
15 and 17 were runaways from foster care. Haskins provided marijuana and eventually recruited them to prostitute for him. Once he recruited them, Haskins performed sex acts with the girls, officials said. In August 2014, Haskins instructed the victims to take a bus to Herndon for the purpose of being prostituted there.
38 years old, and they gave him a 40-year sentence. Yikes. Man, they are not playing with these dudes. They're giving these guys long sentences, man. This stuff is crazy. I hope some of you so-called pimps are watching this, man. And I hope it maybe change your mind to maybe getting into a different line of business. You know what I'm saying? The shit is nothing to play with. They giving these dudes football numbers. Straight up football numbers, man. It's only getting worse, so keep watching.
Haskins arranged for the advertisement to be posted on the internet site Backpage.com to obtain sex customers for the juveniles to make money for him.
Look at the like the cover art that they're doing for this video. Now, let me remind y'all that um, Maroy, he the one used to produce like these pimp documentaries, like Cross Country Pimping, Pimps Up, Holes Down, and a couple of others that that pretty much starred array of pimps. You know what I'm saying? That's been around forever. Kenny Red, Don Magic Wand, Snooky, Rosebud. It was a bunch of them that were like stars in the pimp circle. Back in those days. You know what I mean? Some of those dudes, some of those guys that were stars in some of those pimp movies, they're doing life in prison. You know what I'm saying? If you got lucky, you may have got like 20 years, before the law changed over to human trafficking. But yeah, they're not playing around. They're taking this stuff very serious.
In May 2016, Andre Antonio Adams, age 33, aka Chicago, was sentenced to a devastating 330 years in Arizona prison. Damn. Adams caused
330 years in prison. Oh shit! Those are the years that I wanted y'all to see. Human trafficking. You know what I'm saying? I don't even, man. That shit made my chest chest start hurting. This is crazy.
Detectives assigned to the Greater Phoenix Area Human Trafficking Task Force became aware of the two female victims in the case through advertisements posted on Backpage.com. After contacting the girls, investigators learned the two were 15 years.
For some of y'all to think y'all slick, think that y'all gonna get away because y'all using Backpage, they up on all that shit, man. These people ain't stupid. They got technology. They got technology. They got money. They got plenty of watch hours to investigate. You know what I'm saying? So it's easier just to go on and get a job.
Years old and listed as runaways. When interviewed, the girls stated they worked as prostitutes for a pimp known as Chicago, who knew both of their age because they told them. Chicago rented hotel rooms for them to have sex with men for money, and he promised them protection and marijuana. The two victims identified Chicago in a photo lineup. In March of 2016, a brave young girl at the age of 16 took the stand to testify against a man that held her captive as a 15-year-old runaway. He charged a string of men money to have sex with her. He bragged about her like a trophy and kept her high on heroin while a parade of men came to his home to have sex with her for money. The 54-year-old
Man, some of these dudes are monsters, man. If y'all 12, they gave him 12 life sentences, and he's 54 years old. If you got a daughter, bro, this has to make you feel some type of way. It has to make you maybe think about changing your mind. You know what I'm saying? If you thought about getting to that lifestyle, you know, sick, man.
East Waco, Texas pimp named Andre Renor Evans received his punishment of 12 life sentences. In April 2016, LaRon Carter, also known as Pimpin' Bird, 39 years old, was found guilty by a federal jury in Los Angeles. Following a 5-day trial, the jury convicted Carter of 7 counts of sex trafficking of a minor by force, fraud or coercion, and 7 counts of transporting a child to engage in prostitution. The evidence at the trial showed that Mr. Carter bragged about being a pimp and that he forced girls through violence and coercion to sell their bodies for his profit, said United States Attorney Eli M. Decker. One of his victims was only
39 years old with 40 years in prison. He got lucky because some of the other dudes got 300 years, 3 life sentences. So, he may be able to walk out in 20, 30 years. You know what I mean? Depends on which year he went to jail. This dude's name is Pimpin' Bird. He may sound familiar from some of those pimps up, hoes down documentaries.
13 years old. Pimpin' Bird was sentenced to 40 years in federal prison. Now, although I have stated that the black man has become the face of human trafficking, please do not believe the human trafficking laws discriminate against race. In August of 2016, a Greeley, Denver man was convicted of human trafficking and several underage girls, among other felonies. 33-year-old Paul Berman, aka Halo, was convicted on 32 criminal counts, including pimping adults and one girl as young as 15 years old. Halo was sentenced to 248 years to life in prison.
They don't discriminate, man. Look, 33 years old, sentenced to 248 years in prison. Man, that gives me the chills just thinking about that, boy. He'll never see the streets again. You know what I mean? That's something for you youngsters to think about.
This is the largest human trafficking sentence in Colorado history. God damn. So after watching all that, do you still have the heart to jumpstart your pimping? I hope I scared you straight. Now please be a good Samaritan and share this with everyone you know, including a few strangers. And if you know anyone doing anything with an underage child, please be a real friend and tell him to send that kid home and go get a job or try a legal hustle. You can help save a man's life before it's too late. Trust me, I know. I've saved a few.
But I think before Maroy died, a lot of the pimps felt like he turned his back on a lot of them because he produced a lot of those documentaries back in the days, and they kind of felt like he was not practicing what he preached because after doing all of those documentaries, he started putting out little videos like this, and he's probably interviewed something like 100 pimps, in his times. And, these were like famous pimps too, that's been around for a minute. Um, from A to Z, he's interviewed all of them. You can check his Too Real for TV. Check out his YouTube page. He's interviewed them all. You know what I mean? Their ups and their downs. You know what I'm saying?
And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more educational videos packed with news you can use that are too real for TV, like my short films, exclusive interviews, and public service announcements that just may save your life. Also, hit the bell next to the subscribe button and get notified.
All right, y'all. That's pretty much that, man. But I just wanted to show y'all that to show you how some of these pimps end up, after their long career or short career of pimping. A lot of these fools, they don't get to ride off into the sunset and celebrate and move into that big house. You know what I mean? A lot of them end up going home to a prison cell. You know what I'm saying? And never getting out. So share this video to somebody, man, that you think need to see it. All right, so hit that subscribe button. And matter of fact, if you want to see more of those type videos, go to Maroy's, I think Too Gangster for TV, or hold on, let me see. Um, no, it's too real for TV. Matter of fact, y'all go check out some of his interviews and stuff, and you'll see messages like that one we just watched. But that's it, y'all. That's all I wanted to show y'all. Maybe y'all will get an idea from watching that. You know what I mean? Thanks.